He thought he'd been invited to catalog ancient manuscripts in a forgotten priory. What he uncovered wasn't a text, but a warning. And by the time he realized it, the ink was already dry in his name. This is not a tale of violence, nor blood, nor gore. It is a tale of silence, of parchment, of ink that glows faintly after midnight. A tale for those who have felt eyes on them in libraries when no one else was there. If you're the sort who lingers in musty corridors, leafs through forbidden books, or hears your name whispered in quiet rooms, then listen closely. The Archivist's Guest. In the autumn of 1907, Edward Mallory, an antiquarian from Oxford, received a letter unlike any he had ever seen. There was no university crest, no wax seal, only a handwritten line on thick parchment. Mr. Lyle Fenwick, Archivist. Brotherhood of St. Ethelwold, Ashcroft Priory, Yorkshire Moors. Inside was a message. We are in possession of manuscripts untouched for over 3 centuries. They may prove useful to your research into pre-Reformation marginalia. We require discretion. A room has been prepared. It was unsigned, and it did not ask, it instructed. Mallory, known for his quiet disposition and insatiable curiosity for ecclesiastical texts, saw something rare in this. Access to an untouched archive. Something hidden. 3 days later, he was on the train to Yorkshire. Arrival at Ashcroft Priory. The priory did not greet him, it loomed. After a long ride through mist-veiled moorland, the silhouette of Ashcroft Priory emerged like a wound in the landscape. A lichen-covered ruin crumbling on the eastern side, its blackened stones poking through the fog like old bones. Waiting at the gate was Mr. Fenwick, a man as pale as the clouds, clad in mourning black, eyes as dry and gray as parchment. "Mr. Mallory," he said, voice thin as old paper, "you are expected. Please refrain from entering the eastern chapel. That wing keeps its own company." The guest chamber was narrow, windowless, and sparsely furnished. A bed, a basin, and a writing desk. No fire. "The manuscripts," Fenwick explained, "are kept in the vault beneath the chapel. They're fragile, temperamental. We do not remove them. We read but carefully, and we close them before dark." Mallory gave a small smile. "Do they wake, Mr. Fenwick?" Fenwick looked at him for a long moment. "Not all things that wake do so with sound." The manuscript vault. The next morning, Mallory was led through a winding stair to the archive. It lay beneath the priory, cold, candle-lit, lined with shelves of vellum, codices, and folios. At the center of the room lay one volume apart from the others. Wrapped in stained oilskin, no title. "This is why you're here," Fenwick said. "But handle it lightly. It has been touched." Mallory removed the wrapping to reveal an anonymous folio filled with sermons in a cramped, sharp hand. The signature was consistent, Anselmus de Wythorne. A monk lost to time except for one curious reference. Mallory recalled in a French footnote, "A collector of rites unsanctioned, whose margins whisper louder than the text." The margins indeed were filled, not with commentary but symbols. Spirals, nets, inked doorways, and, most unsettlingly, dozens of stylized black eyes. A phrase appeared again and again, in between lines of dogma and liturgical repetition. "Let the ink bear witness where the voice dares not speak." Mallory copied several of the symbols into his notebook and returned to his room that evening with questions pressing on his thoughts. The first incident. He awoke at 2:13 a.m., not to a sound but to a pressure in the room, the sort that settles over you in cathedrals and crypts, and now here. From the desk came a scratching sound. Slow, deliberate. He lit his lamp. His notebook lay open. One of the pages had a new line written in what looked like black ink. The strokes were wet, glistening under the lamp. "He is seen. He is remembered." The handwriting was his. He had not written it. The folio changes. Returning to the archive the next morning, Mallory found the folio had moved. It no longer sat centered on the table. It faced the wall, pages open to a passage in cipher. A substitution pattern, Latin obscured by Greek gloss. Mallory, excited, spent the day decoding it. Piece by piece, it revealed a disturbing statement. When the last eye is drawn, and the name beneath it written in full, the listener arrives to read the record. In the final margin, 8 eyes inked in a row. The 9th only half drawn. Beneath it, a blank line. The folio began to change subtly in the days that followed. The ink darkened. The pages shifted on their own. When Mallory looked away, the text rearranged itself. Passages he had not seen were suddenly present. And then he began hearing things. Low, steady whispers, spoken not aloud, but inside the ear, just beside consciousness. The drawing of the 9th eye. On the 7th night, during a storm, Mallory sat at his desk, candle flickering. He unwrapped the folio one last time. The 8th eye stared at him, unblinking. The 9th unfinished. He dipped his pen. Almost in a trance, he completed the final eye, and beneath it he signed his name. Edward Mallory. The ink shimmered. The candle extinguished itself. The whispers stopped. What comes after? That night no dreams came, but Mallory did not sleep. Shapes moved at the edge of the lamplight. The folio began to bleed ink dripping onto the table. Across the floor, up the legs of the bed, from under the stone came a sound, a long wet inhalation. He fled to the chapel. The eastern doors, once sealed with iron, now stood open. The eastern chapel. The walls were scorched black. Where the altar had stood was now a pedestal. Atop it, a book identical to the folio, but no Latin, no sermons. Only pages and pages of eyes. And at the center, a name handwritten in enormous strokes. Anselmus. A figure stood in the shadows beyond the altar, robed, faceless. It held a quill that dripped black onto the floor. You read, it said, not with voice but through the stone. Now you are written. The end of the record. Days passed. The priory was empty. Mallory's room remained untouched, except the folio was gone. In its place, a single sheet of paper, 9 eyes, a name, his final entry in Mallory's notebook. He is written now, he is read. Let none open the margins again. The manuscript was never found. When Mr. Fenwick was questioned, he replied only, "There are margins for a reason, and names that are best unwritten." If you felt a chill while listening, it wasn't just the story, it was something behind you, reading with you. For more long-form horror inspired by ancient manuscripts, forbidden rites, and the quiet things watching from dark corners, subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you believe some names should never be spoken aloud. And remember, not every book wants to be read. Some want to read you.